Hey, this is Paul Blough. It's time for another 5x5, and today we want to talk with you about how growth and your IT needs are kind of combined together and how they influence one another. And so to begin with, we're going to use some illustrations, and I've got a whiteboard behind me, and we're going to kind of just draw out some ideas here to see if it may help us to represent this. And so I'm going to start out with, I'm going to draw out just a little building here, and this building is going to represent your business, okay? So there's your business. Congratulations, you're a business owner. Isn't that wonderful? You're in your life's ambition and you're really, really excited about it. And as you've made a tremendous investment in this business, you probably want to keep that investment secure. So one of the very first things that we do is we apply some physical security. We put a lock on the doors. We put in security systems, alarm systems. We might put in video cameras, and we'll do whatever we can to physically make the building safe to protect our business, because it's important to us. And as we become successful in our business, we begin to add staff. And so here we have our first employee, and that's great and that's wonderful too. But now we have the compounded problem of, when you were just the only person at your business, everything was done your way, and now we have another person involved here, and so that adds a little bit of complexity, because that person doesn't do things exactly the way you would do them, doesn't always know everything that you would know, and doesn't treat it as if it's your own business. And so we probably are starting to add things like policies and written procedures, and giving some guidance to how that person is going to operate, and probably even considering some training and ongoing reminders of all of that. Now, as we add people, they have needs as well, and so one of the things that they'll ask for pretty quickly is say, hey, I want a computer. I need something to work on. And that's pretty exciting, because now here we have some technology, because really all computer is an augmenter of a person. It doesn't replace people. It never is designed to do that. It just accelerates the individual's ability. And so to start with, this person was totally adequate in doing the work, but as time goes on and the business has grown and things are better, now we need to take this work and make it more efficient, and that's where the computer comes in. Computer can calculate numbers quicker, it can do document analysis and construction better, it can do a lot of things, especially when it comes to accounting in general, that will help you to be more efficient. So that's great, that's wonderful. And now again, because we're successful, what begins to happen is that we are going to add our second employee, and maybe even a third employee. And of course, with them comes additional computers. Now the problem we have here is that having more than one computer, we really need these to be able to talk to each other to really get the most efficiency, right? We don't want to have the information that this guy is putting into this computer and this guy is putting into that computer. We don't want that information to be completely separate. That would be repetitive, and that would actually duplicate the efforts and the energy that we've got in trying to get this stuff done. And so we need to connect them. And so what we do is we introduce something called a switch. And a switch is simply a device that allows these computers to talk to each other. So problem solved. Now we have this computer is able to talk to that computer, and this person using this computer can talk to this person, and maybe even this person's located someplace else in the building. Maybe they're upstairs and this person's downstairs. None of that really matters, because we've got all of this great technology to be able to talk. But again, as we add people, we add some needs and some complexity. And so the next thing that we may add is a file server. This is basically just a customized, specialized PC that is really designed around storing files and doing some very specific applications, programs, running things like QuickBooks or some other type of accounting software or back-end software to help you run your business. And it's going to be connected up to the switch, which will connect it into the PCs, which connects back to the people. And it allows us to really leverage some centralized resources and to be able to do some pretty interesting things and pretty neat things there. Now, probably one of these guys is eventually going to come to you and say, hey, all this technology is great, and it's great that we have a server so we can share information in a single spot, put everything together in one place, run these really cool applications that are server-based, and it's great that we can talk to each other back and forth on our PCs. But boy, I really would like to have my PC go with me to the conference room. I'd really like to have a laptop that can move around anywhere within the building. And so now we're adding another layer of complexity, and we're adding wireless. And so wireless is just basically like this switch up here, but instead of using physical cables to connect everything, it uses the airwaves. It just kind of talks through the air with some security, and it allows these PCs now to roam around anywhere inside this building, and these people can roam around with those PCs, and we can talk to the server, and we can talk to each other through the connection of the Wi-Fi. Awesome. Really, really exciting, really, really cool stuff. But at some point, they're going to say, now I need to access the internet, and everything's going to change at this point. We need to create a barrier between us and the internet. We call this a firewall. And so this firewall is just like it would be in real life. It's a barrier that's meant to protect us and make sure that the good guys can get in and the bad guys can't get in. And it allows us to connect up over here to this wonderful thing that we call the internet or the cloud, however you want to look at it. So we have this piece here that is a data connector over in here. Now, what we're going to do in the cloud is pretty interesting. First of all, one of the things that you're going to see is that people are going to want to have mobile devices. So the things that they were doing over here, they're going to want to be able to do them outside the building now. And that's great and that's wonderful as we start to move this stuff outside and we gain flexibility of going out into the field, being able to take point of sale with us. And if we're in a service-based business, we're going out to see a customer, we can actually receive payment right away. We can get a work order sent to us. We can send that work order information back. All that's great and it's wonderful. We can do that with mobility. But there's a piece missing out here because as soon as I move any device into the cloud itself, like a cell phone or an iPad or even a PC or a laptop, I bypassed all of my security that I have over here. So I have this brilliant firewall over here that's keeping me safe from the bad guys, and I have security that I've put on my servers and central programs, and I've got security that I've put on my PCs, and I've trained my people, and then all that goes away when I'm over here. So one of the things that we can do is we can put in another firewall. And this firewall is a cloud-based firewall. And it's very similar in nature to this firewall, except for it doesn't physically reside at our business. It's not really here, it's out here in the cloud. It's a cloud-based service as well. And it will follow our devices. And so the rules that we've placed in here say bad guys don't get in, good guys do get in, good services are provided, bad services are blocked. Say we don't want people going to Facebook or we don't want people going to eBay or whatever it may be that we're concerned about. All of those same blocking criteria, filtering criteria to make sure that people are efficient and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, we can now extend out to these mobile devices that are no longer physically here. Could be at a remote location, could be somebody that's working from home, just could be somebody working in the field. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at programs like what would we use out there. And probably one of the very first programs that we would use is email. Okay, everybody is familiar with regular mail, and email, of course, pretty much everybody's familiar with this too, but this is definitely a cloud-based service. It's one of the services that we're most familiar with. And when we start introducing the idea of email, which is connecting now not just our users to each other, but our users to other businesses, to vendors, to customers, and things like that, there's a whole nother set of security concerns that we've got to take in consideration. We've got to make sure that the good email goes out and the bad email doesn't come in. We call this spam filtering. We also need to do some protection against attacks that come in through email. A lot of times we've talked in the past about phishing attacks with a PH, where those emails come in and they try to convince you or trick you into doing something that really you don't need to do. And so a whole nother set of criteria of security and efficiency and awareness needs to be focused in on here. All right, so now we have the next piece, which is a website, right? So that's great. We're out here, we're in the internet, and now we want to have somebody be able to talk to us on a 24/7 basis. We have a living brochure called a website. Now we're probably not going to put that website over here. It does make a lot of sense to have it local to our business. We're going to use that as another cloud-based service, but that website becomes very important. Some of us do business through that website. We do e-commerce. We do a lot of different types of things through there that can be pretty interesting as well. But what I want you to see here is that you've got to also make this secure, because this is a face to your business. And we don't want this to be hacked. We don't want to be defaced. We don't want somebody to encrypt it and not allow us back into our own website. And so all of the criteria over here, protection, things that we would do physically to make sure our machines need to be safe, we need to do over here as well when it comes to the website. We also are going to have some cloud-based services. And sometimes this is referred to as software as a service. Sometimes it's referred to as apps that may be running on your phones or on your smart devices, laptops and things like that. Salesforce.com is a good example of that a lot of people are familiar with. Hootsuite is another one. HubSpot is another one. And these are applications that run in the internet. They run over here in the cloud someplace, but then they connect back up into our computers, back into our systems on some level. Now, we also may have things like hosted servers, okay? So this would be just like the server that is over here physically, but instead it's over here in the cloud. It's in somebody else's data center. And we might even have some hosted PCs. And so we might have a PC over here and represented by that's physically located on this side too. But just because we put it in the cloud, the PC or the server, doesn't mean we don't have to protect it. Now, I want to take just a step back and look at this overall picture. So here we have our local business, and here we have the cloud or the internet. And the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to protect our business physically. We're going to add people, and we've got to protect our people. We've got to train them and keep them safe. We've got to protect the PCs as we add them into our system. We've got to manage the switch to make sure only the right people can access the physical devices. We are going to protect our servers, make sure they're backed up, those critical programs are backed up and kept safe. We're going to protect Wi-Fi so somebody from outside our business doesn't gain access to it. We're going to do a lot of this with this firewall that protects us when we start to access the internet. And then we're going to have a firewall that's not just physically here at our business, but we're going to also have another firewall that roams around and floats with us wherever we go outside of our business into the cloud. And that includes our mobile devices like our phones, our iPads, all of those things. We're going to take consideration for how to keep our email safe and be aware of how important that is to us. We have to protect our website. We have to be aware that any program or service or data information that we put out into the internet as a software service, an app, or a program running in the cloud, that also has to be protected. We have to make sure it's secure. We have to make sure that it's being backed up. We have to make sure we can get to that data. And then eventually we may want to take some of these physical devices and move them here too. And just because we move them into the cloud doesn't mean we don't have to protect them. Now this is the essence of, as we grow our business, kind of what's going to happen in a logical kind of progression. Now, it can seem a little unwieldy, a little bit overwhelming, and that's really where companies like myself comes into play. Blough helps people understand these steps of growth. It's logical, it's normal, it's exactly what you should go through, and if any of this confuses you or is difficult, then this is something that we can help you with.